President Cyril Ramaphosa says he's pleased with how the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia continues to open its doors for the enhancement of strong economic relations with South Africa. Ramaphosa was addressing business and the Saudi Arabian government in Jeddah this afternoon. He says the $5 billion worth of investment between the two countries could be increased if the bilateral agreements signed in Jeddah are implemented with speed. President Ramaphosa is leading a delegation of ministers and more than 100 businessmen and women who seek to further improve trade relations with Saudi Arabia.
South Africa stands particularly ready to increase the overall export of a basket of goods with Saudi Arabia to bring together the balance to the trade account. The current flows of investment between our two countries are very promising indeed. One such company, and it's Aqua Power from Saudi Arabia, is active in the renewable energy space in our country, one of the catalytic sectors for South Africa. South Africa has what I would call unparalleled opportunities that await investors with the financial capability and great business appetite. Just as Saudi Arabia is positioned as the gateway to the Middle East and to the region, South Africa is the gateway to a dynamic continent with great prospects. Africa is growing its output quite rapidly and is urbanizing and has a young population. We already know that Saudi business sees itself as being part of Africa's success story. You have an opportunity here today to develop the relationships that can improve two-way capital flows between Saudi Arabia, this region broadly, and South Africa and Africa more broadly as well. Our country, South Africa, is a leading mining economy, and mining has been an integral part of our economic history for over centuries. And it's pleasing to hear that your future beyond 2030 also involves mining. Local and international companies are active across many different value chains, from iron ore to platinum, palladium, gold, diamonds, coal, chromium, and many other minerals. If it could be said that oil is the lifeblood of the Saudi economy, such is mining to South African economy as well. We have the mineral resources, but also the capability, the capacity, and above all, the solid experience. Saudi Arabia is interested in developing its own substantial mining resources, as we've heard, and we look forward to engagement between our two respective countries where we can benefit each other on a mutual basis.
All right, for more on this, we now cross to our senior reporter, Samkele Maseko, who is in Jeddah in Saudi Arabia for us. Good afternoon to you, Samkele. All right, let's talk then. I understand that there was a lot of discussion around renewable energy. President Cyril Ramaphosa, in fact, calling on Saudi companies to come and play a role in South Africa. Talk to us more on that, of course, I would assume on the back of our power struggles and Eskom problems here in South Africa.
Essentially, Flo, what you are seeing is that President Ramaphosa's investment drive across the world is anchored around South Africa moving on the just transition from the coal baseload going on to renewable energy through independent power producers. You do know that Eskom Power Utility in South Africa currently has implemented stage 2 load shedding, which shows that the power utility is failing in its core business, which is energy generation within the country. And thus, Saudi Arabia is known for its independent power producers' role and in also its expertise in the renewable energy space due to the large hectares of land that they have and the vast sun that they have within this country in order to be able to generate electricity through various other means. You look, for instance, at Aqua Power Energy Generation Company within the Saudi Arabian area, where they have played a pivotal role in hydroelectricity within this country, which President Ramaphosa speaks significantly about, that those independent power producers within Saudi Arabia must now come to South Africa. As the Minister of Mineral Resources and Energy, Gwede Mantashe, just a month ago opened up window 6 of independent power producers for those independent power producers, which will come on stream in about 18 months from now, that will be adding those much needed megawatts into the grid of South Africa as South Africa moves from a coal base load going on to renewable energy, which speaks about the importance of the just transition that is being spoken about within the country, moving away from coal and also including independent power producers. President Ramaphosa calling on Saudi Arabian companies to partner with independent power producers in South Africa in order to diversify South Africa's energy streams.
Let's talk about the rest of the president's meetings and plans after this. His itinerary. I do understand that the president is to meet with the Crown Prince later today. I'm assuming you'll be following the president there.
In essence, the president will be meeting with the Crown Prince, His Highness, later on this evening, but that particular meeting is behind closed doors. We have been told that it is only GCIS that will be allowed to only go in and take a photo op. Other than that, nobody else will be allowed in the meeting. Cell phones are also not allowed from all of the dignitaries that will be going to meet the Crown Prince. That would be all of the South African ministers, the president, so it will be a strictly private meeting. But what is more important is that in 2018, President Ramaphosa, when he took over the reins as the President of the Republic of South Africa, one of his first trips was to Saudi Arabia. You'd remember it was during at the time when we were seeing escalating food prices across the world, which was affecting the poor, the middle class in South Africa, with those soaring fuel prices. And you do know that the backbone and and essentially the lifeblood of the Saudi Arabian economy is their oil, their crude oil within this country. And as much as South Africa, the backdrop of our economy is within the mining sector. So we do see that the Saudi Arabian economy is trying to diversify, not only to be solely dependent on oil, but to also move into other sectors such as agro-processing, which is in the agricultural space, and also moving into mining. Hence the importance of the Minister of Mineral Resources and Energy in South Africa, Gwede Mantashe, being a part of this specific delegation of President Ramaphosa, as Saudi Arabia has a 5-point project of diversifying their economy, which is also in line with South Africa, which also encompasses tourism, which is one of the key sectors that the president is speaking about, in saying that later on this evening, when the government delegation meets the Saudi Arabian Crown Prince and also the government delegation, they will be signing a number of deals which go back to the 2018 visit of President Cyril Ramaphosa, which was essentially about getting better oil deals for South Africa in order to reduce the high and escalating fuel prices that we have seen in recent months within the country, despite those two fuel price decreases that we have seen this year. But the amount of monies that South Africans are spending on fuel is increasing day by day. And also the issue of infrastructure development within the country. Saudi Arabia, particularly Jeddah, where we are, is essentially a construction site where you are seeing companies which there is a public-private partnership in ensuring that there is infrastructure development in the country, which are some of the key projects that President Cyril Ramaphosa has said will be the backdrop of trying to revive an ailing South African economy, which is infrastructure development, in rolling out those multi-billion rands infrastructure projects within the country, where you've got Dr. Kgosientsho Ramokgopa was discharged with the responsibility of making sure that there is infrastructure development within the country. So the thrust of this state visit of President Ramaphosa into Saudi Arabia is to ensure that there is economic development between the two countries and you foster those diplomatic ties, but more importantly, that the two countries are able to assist one another in alleviating poverty, inequality, and underdevelopment amongst its citizens, in ensuring that there is a just transition in the energy generation within South Africa, and also that South Africa, with having its backbone of its economy being mining, is able able to assist Saudi Arabia as they try and diversify their economy, moving away from being 70% dependent on coal and having other income streams in order to diversify their economy, which will include agriculture, which will be agri-processing, which will include mining, and will also include tourism. As you are saying that the president was saying that it is rather embarrassing that there is no direct flight from Saudi Arabia going to South Africa and vice versa, saying that must be changed as the two countries foster an economic relationship.